Good day. Lecture 5. The Truth. Could we confirm that truth is an opinion? Could two different opinions be true? Let's start with two anecdotes. First anecdote. Two friends stroll on the sandy beach. One of them finds a bottle throughout the sea. He picks it up, looks inside and shouts, "It's half full." His friend, curious, asks, "Let me see." The first friend did so. Once the bottle in his hands, he looked through it and says, "No, it's half empty." Who is right? The first who said it's half full, or the second with it's half empty? Second anecdote. In a northern country, by a wonderful Sunday morning, the two parents and their 6-year-old son enjoy the free weekend. Outside, the sun shines, but the air is still a little chilly. The boy has just started his first school days a few months ago. Already, he knows his first alphabetic letters, and even could count from 1 to 10. The father passes through the living room, giving a glance to the kid, lying down on the floor and building a huge skyscraper with building blocks. The father takes a look at the thermometer fixed on the exterior window frame. Then he announces loudly, "It's minus 10 degrees outside." The boy makes no move and continues to erect his building as if he heard nothing. Few hours later, the father passes again through the living room, looks at the window, and once more reads the outside temperature. This time he says, "The air has warmed up. Now it's minus 7. As the meteorologist amateur pronounced the minus 7, a sudden noise comes from the father's side. Scared for the boy, he briskly turns out his head toward him and with surprise witnessed the destruction of the skyscraper under construction. As soon the father said minus 7, the building blocks slipped down from the boy's hand, making a mess on the living room floor. With the building erection was falling apart, forgetting the building blocks, the little kid raises his head, looks his father right in the eyes, and says, "No, Papa, that's not right. It's not warmer, but rather colder." The astounded father replied, "Why, darling, do you say that it is colder?" The boy answered his father by saying, "Let's see, Papa. I know that 7 is lower than 10. I learned it at school." Then the father realized that the child was speaking according to his knowledge, and that 7 is really less than 10. In the boy's mind, the sign preceding the number has no significance for him. In the first anecdote, both companions were right, in spite of the different opinion. In the second, the truth was based on speaker's knowledge. And so, we may say that truth is really an opinion. Ernest Renan, historian, used to say, "Ideas govern the world." We may add that opinion dictated the truth. Since truth is opinion, then to understand the truth, one must rely on opinion's comprehension, origin, and formation. One day, someone asked Georges Duhamel, "Why do you say that?" He responded, "Simply because it's my opinion." Scarcely two new visitors agree on every new subject. If we ask 10 volunteers, unknown to each other, to write a paper on a unique subject, we will discover that all papers are different. Still better, why not try a personal experience? On a piece of paper, write your opinion on the sample subject. Then fold it, place it in an envelope, and seal it. On the envelope, mark the date of the day, the subject, and as nota bene, you add up, not to be opened before 5 years. 5 years later, before reading the first opinion, you write a new one on the same subject. Put it in an envelope and seal it again. Then you open up the first envelope, written 5 years ago. Read it, and with surprise, you will realize that your opinion has changed since 5 years. If you do the same exercise every 5 years, you will realize the same surprising result every time. But why that happens that way? Which are the causes? Then I ask myself, how opinion come to life? After thinking, I come to conclusion that my opinion rely on my knowledge. But how I get my knowledge? I found out that my knowledge comes from two sources, from heritage and from senses perception. What that means by heritage? It is well known that every child inherited skills from his biologic parents. For example, children living the same profession, trade or sports have better scores and faster. Except for children born of same biologic parents, all have different parents and inherited of different innate knowledge. In his book, Animals and Plant Variation Under the Effect of Domestication, Charles Darwin speaks about this knowledge transmission. Laboratory experiments prove the theory. In 1960, the American psychologist Mike Connell, using electric shocks and flashing light, made experiments with flatworms. After several tests, he succeeded to have them curl up or move within the sample labyrinths simply with a winking light. Later, with little suspicious, he decided more experiments. This time he chose 2 groups of flatworms. With the first group, he fed them with ordinary food. With the second group, he mixed the food with the programmed dead bodies. Surprisingly, rapidly, he realized that the second group, the cannibal, those fed with the dead bodies, reacted better and faster. Later, another psychologist, George Ungar, did the same experiment but with mouse and rats and obtained the same result. The researchers concluded that these results could only be obtained but through inherited knowledge. The second source of knowledge comes from the senses, that is to say, that all eye, ear, nose, mouth, and skin perception are experiences which generate knowledge. Sir Edward Heaven Pritchard, a British anthropologist and author of The Religion of Primitive, agrees while writing, all knowledge comes from senses. All sensorial perceptions are life experience by which each individual gets his knowledge. Let's see. You meet a person for the first time. The next time you remember him. You taste a meal for the first time, or visit a site for the first time. And next time you remember Conclusion: our opinions are worked out by our knowledge. Our knowledge comes from two sources, by heritage and through senses perception. Our inherited knowledge comes from our biologic parents, while our daily life experience, influenced by the cognitive effect of senses, continue endlessly to supply our knowledge. The inherited knowledge is different, for they come from different biologic parents. The daily experience generated different knowledge, as they all live by different individuals. Consequently, as our opinions are influenced by our knowledge, and that our knowledge is different from one person to another, it is reasonable to say that all opinions are different from an individual to another. Is it not what understood Michel de Montaigne when he used to say, "Never in the world have been two identical opinions"? Furthermore, any knowledge is elaborated by individual intellectual skills, specifically to every person who perceives, compares, deducts, and from these actions form personal opinion. Then, since every truth is an opinion, we may say that there are as many truths as opinions. Thank you. All lectures, including that one, are available either on paper or by email at ifknowIcan, a commercial yahoo.fr. Thank you. Armin.